Hello, people. How are you? What's up? I hope you all are doing extremely amazing. So, people, until now, we are done with 4 sub chapters. Number 1 is SEBI regulations, 10 marks. Number 2 is insolvency bankruptcy code, 10 marks. Number 3 is corporate governance, 10 marks. And number 4 is companies act, 40 marks we are done with. So, total until now, we can say that 70 marks weightage we are thoroughly done with. Okay, people. Now what we're going to do is we're going to target small chapters that are going to come in your exams for 5 to 7 marks. Right, people? Among those chapters, number 1 chapter that we're going to target is competition laws. Right, people? So, under competition laws, there are 2 sub chapters. Number 1 is Competition Act and number 2 is Competition Commission of India. Very easy, very practical, super interesting, and I'm going to make sure that you're going to fall in love with this chapter. Right, people? So without wasting any time, let's get started. So people, let's understand first what all topics that we're going to understand in Competition Act 2002. Number 1 is, people, we're going to understand the meaning of agreement under Competition Act. Okay. After that, we're going to understand what are the types of anti-competitive agreements, vertical agreements, horizontal agreements. Beautiful concept. Then, people, we're going to understand the concept of dominant position. What do you mean by dominant position? Then we'll understand how do companies abuse their dominant position. Then people are going to understand the concept of what do you mean by predatory pricing. After that, the concept of combination. What do you mean by combination? Then people, we're going to understand what are the types of acquisition. Perfect. Then people, we're going to understand when is filing with Competition Commission of India is mandatory for combination. Then people, miscellaneous concepts we're going to understand. Number 1 is when the CCI blocks or modifies combination. Then people are going to understand the concept of group. What do you mean by group? Then people, how are assets valued whenever there is a combination? We're going to understand, people. And then people, how does CCI regulate the combination? We'll understand. Then people, what is the procedure for investigation of combination? We're going to understand. And last is, what are the types of orders passed by CCI? We will understand. Right, people? After we are done with 14 topics, then the next chapter, that is Competition Commission of India. There are just 5 to 6 small topics will be done in just 15 to 20 minutes. The second chapter, people. Right, people? After that, we'll be solving past year's question paper and then we are sorted, people. Sorted. Chalo bhai. Let's start. So let's get started with our first concept under Competition Act 2002, and that is what do you mean by agreement? So people, agreement includes arrangement, understanding or action in concert, whether formal or informal, whether written or oral, with respect to 6 items. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are 6 items? Number 1 is production. Number 2 is supply. Number 3 is distribution. Then storage. Number 5 is acquisition. And number 6 is control of goods and services. Very easy. Let's again revise. So what do you mean by agreement, people? Agreement means and includes any arrangement, action in concert, understanding, where formal or informal, whether oral or written, with respect to 6 items. What are the 6 items? Number 1 is production. Number 2 is supply. Number 3 is distribution. Number 4 is storage. Number 5 is acquisition. And number 6 is control of goods and services. And this agreement, if it is causing appreciable adverse effect, what do you mean by appreciable adverse effect? If it is causing negative impact on the competition, it is treated as void agreement. Always understand this. If an agreement causes AAEC, appreciable adverse effect on the competition, it is going to be a void agreement, unenforceable agreement. Very easy, people. Chalo. So what are the types of anti-competitive agreements? So people, there are 2 types of anti-competitive agreements. Number 1 is horizontal agreements and number 2 is vertical agreements. Let's understand this in complete detail. So people, what do you mean by horizontal agreements? Horizontal agreements are between the enterprises that operate at the same level of the production or distribution chain. The enterprises which are operating at the same level, if these people are entering into an agreement, it is called as horizontal agreements. Sir, what do you mean by vertical agreements, people? Vertical agreement means agreement is entered between different levels of production or supply chain, and that is called as vertical agreement. If I am a company, if I am entering into a contract with my distributor, if I am entering into a contract with my supplier, it is called as a vertical agreement. Now, what do you mean by horizontal agreement, people? Horizontal agreement means if I am entering into an agreement with my competitors, then it is called as horizontal agreements. Very easy. We're going to understand this in detail. Chalo, people. So, what are the types of horizontal agreements, people? Number 1, 2, 3, 4. There are price fixing. Number 2 is limiting production or supply. Number 3 is market allocation. And number 4 is bid rigging. So there are 4 types of horizontal agreements. Number 1 is price fixing. Number 2 is limiting production or supply. And number 3 is market allocation. And number 4 is bid rigging. Let's understand this quickly using an example. So what do you mean by price fixing, people? Price fixing means where competitors agree on prices rather than competing. So if there are 5 cement manufacturing companies who have agreed among themselves that we are not going to sell the cement which is actually costing 200 rupees per kg, we among ourselves are entering into an agreement that we are not going to sell the cement at a price below 500. We are definitely going to charge price at 500 or above. Yes or no, people? So this is called as fixing of prices, which is an anti-competitive agreement. Very easy. And number 2 is, people, limiting production or supply. If steel manufacturing companies have decided to reduce supply of steel in the market by 20% so that it creates an artificial shortage so that it will increase the prices of steel, it is called as, people, limiting production or supply. Okay, let's understand this again. So I have 5 companies, steel manufacturing companies A, B, C and D. Okay, people. So instead of having a healthy competition, these people decide among themselves that we are going to reduce the supply of steel or production of steel by 20% in the market. If the supply is low, the price will increase and the price will increase, and that price we will be selling our steel, earning huge amount of profits. And that is called as, people, the concept of limiting production or supply. Okay. And next is, people, what do you mean of market allocation? Competitors divide territories, customers or products instead of competing. So let's say that two FMCG companies. There are 2 FMCG companies. So instead of competing with each other, they have decided among themselves that you operate in Gujarat and I will operate in Maharashtra. We will not compete against each other, because if we compete against each other, we will lose our market share. So what we'll do is, you operate in Gujarat, I will operate in Maharashtra. I will charge whatever price I want to charge. You also charge whatever price you want to charge. Nobody will question us, because people have got nowhere else to go but to come to us. Yes or no, people? And that is called as market allocation. Okay, people. And next is, people, what do you mean of bid rigging? Competitors coordinate bidding processes to determine the price, to determine the winners. Let's say, people, there are 3 construction companies who coordinate among themselves and decide, in this government tender, government is asking for tenders. So in this tender, who is going to win the bid? It is completely decided beforehand. Let's say one company bids the lowest. Okay, people. So they agree among themselves that if this company has submitted a bid of 100 crores, remaining bidders have to obviously submit more than 100 crores worth of bid. So others submit higher bids, and then the difference is shared between the members. Again, I will tell you. Let's say, people, government wants to construct a highway, and normally the price is 100 CR. But these people, A, B, C, decide among themselves that A is going to submit a bid of 150 crores and B and C will obviously submit a bid of more than 150, 200 crores. So he submits 200 crores and C submits 300 crores. Now you tell me people, which person will win the bid? Obviously A will win the bid. So what is the normal price? It is 100 crores. But how much he has got? 150 crores. So this remaining 50 crores will be distributed among these three players. Yes or no people? And this is a completely anti-competitive agreement. Very easy. Chalo people. So in cases involving cartels, burden of proof lies on the parties to prove that they did not have any anti-competitive agreements. So the moment you enter into a cartel, okay people, the moment you enter into a cartel, the moment you enter into anti-competitive practices among the players who are of your size, it is called as a cartel. And the moment you are accused of cartel, now you have to prove that this agreement was not an intent to cause an appreciable adverse effect on the competition. The person who has filed a complaint will not prove. You have to prove that no, this agreement among ourselves is not causing appreciable adverse effect on the competition. So we were studying people horizontal agreements. So there are four types of horizontal anti-competitive agreements. Tell me people, what are the four items? Number one is price fixing. Number two is limiting production or supply. Number three is market allocation. And number four is bid rigging. And the burden of proof lies on the person who has entered into an anti-competitive agreement. Yes or no people? That person has to prove that this agreement is not causing appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Easy people, very easy. Chalo. Now let's come to vertical agreements. Now what do you mean by vertical agreements people? Vertical agreements are those agreements which are entered between the different stages of production or supply chain. Okay. So vertical agreements are arrangements between enterprises operating at different stages of production or distribution chain. Example is manufacturers with a distributor or retailer is called as a vertical agreement. I'm going to explain you with the example people. Don't worry. So vertical agreements are not presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, but horizontal agreements, they are presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. But vertical agreements are not presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. The effect must be analyzed using rule of reasoning. Okay people. Chalo. Now what are the types of vertical agreements? Number one is tie-in arrangement. Number two is exclusive supply agreement. Number three is exclusive distribution agreement. Number four is refusal to deal. And number five is resale price maintenance. Okay people. Now let's understand the concept of all the five types of vertical agreements. So what do you mean by tie-in arrangement? People, definitely in exam question can be asked, what do you mean by vertical agreements? Exam question can be come in your exam for 7 marks. Yes or no people? Sure. So what do you mean by tie-in arrangement? Selling one product conditional on the purchase of another product. Sir, I did not understand anything. People, the moment a customer walks into my store and I am selling, I am in the business of refrigerator. I am going to tell the customer, the moment you buy my refrigerator, you also have to buy my stabilizer also. So this is called as tie-in agreement. If you are selling an item to a customer with the condition that you have to purchase this item also, it is called as tie-in arrangement. Yes or no people? For example, if iPhone store owners ask you to buy iPhone along with charger, ask you to buy iPhone along with earphones, then it's called as tie-in arrangement. Okay. Number two is people, exclusive supply agreement. Now what do you mean by exclusive supply agreement? Restricting a supplier from selling goods to anyone else. Now what do you mean by this people? Okay. If Hyundai forced dealers to buy spare parts only from Hyundai approved sources, it is called as exclusive supply agreement. So people, Hyundai company, if it has forced the dealers of Hyundai showrooms, if it has forced the Hyundai showrooms dealers to buy all the spare parts completely, entirely from Hyundai only, they are not supposed to buy from any other manufacturers, it is called as people exclusive supply agreement. What do you call exclusive supply agreement? I'm asking the supplier, restricting a supplier from selling goods to anyone else. You have to buy from me only. You cannot buy it from anyone else. And that is called as exclusive supply agreement. Very easy, people. I'm giving you practical examples. How Hyundai company restrict their dealers to buy spare parts only from Hyundai only. No other car manufacturer. Yes or no, people? And number 3 is, people, what do you mean by exclusive distribution agreement? Limiting the distributor's ability to sell competing goods. Now, people, if you have gone to McDonald's, you must have observed one thing, that McDonald's will never sell you Pepsi or any other competitive soft drinks except for Coca-Cola. The reason is Coca-Cola has entered into an agreement with McDonald's that you have to sell only my Coke. You cannot sell my competitors' drinks at all in your store. And that is called as, people, exclusive distribution agreement. Very easy, people. Next is refusal to deal. What do you mean by this, people? Restricting or refusing to deal with certain persons or groups. So, people, if Google has entered into an agreement with its partners or advertisers that you have to deal with us only, you cannot go and deal with Yahoo or DuckDuckGo, what do we call web browsers. You are not allowed to do that. You are only supposed to deal with us, and that is called as, people, refusal to deal. That means what, people? The moment that partner or advertiser deals with Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, or any search engine websites, then Google will refuse to deal with them. So it is basically giving a warning that if you deal with them, then you cannot deal with us, and that is called as, people, refusal to deal. Okay. Now, what do you mean by resale price maintenance, people? Imposing a fixed or minimum resale price to the buyer. People, now you all have walked into Apple stores, people. Are you going to find them selling you an iPhone at a discount of 30%, 40%, 50%? No. Apple has a strict condition on the store owners that you cannot sell iPhone at a price lower than a certain price, and that is called, people, resale price maintenance. Resale price maintenance. So there are 5 types of agreements, vertical agreements we have studied. Number 1 is tie-in arrangement. You buy this with the condition that you have to buy this also. Number 2 is exclusive supply agreement. You have to supply only to us. You cannot supply to anyone else. Number 3 is exclusive distribution agreement. You have to distribute only our items. You cannot distribute our competitors' items. Number 4 is, if you sell our competitors' items, we refuse to deal with you. And number 5 is, people, resale price maintenance. Very easy, people. Chalo. Each of these vertical practices is evaluated to determine whether they cause or likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. So each of this agreement is studied in detail to find out, are these agreement are a normal agreement? If they cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, it is completely void. Otherwise, it is not void at all. Yes or no, people? Chalo. Now we'll understand the concept of dominant position. Beautiful concept. So, people, dominant position refers to the ability of an enterprise to do 2 things. What are the 2 things, people? Number 1 is ability of an enterprise to do 2 things. Number 1 is operate independently of its competitive forces. What is the meaning of this? Let's take an example of Google. So, people, is Google worried about who are its competitors? No, because Google owns 90% of search engine market. So it doesn't care who are its competitors. So it operates independently of its competitors, and that is called as, people, dominant position. Okay. Number 2, it has the power to impact the competitors. It has the power to impact its customers. Now, people, don't you think Google, which is owning 90% of market share in the search engine market, don't you think it can easily impact its competitors like Yahoo, DuckDuckGo? It can easily impact its customers. Yes or no, people? Very easy. The reason is they are dependent on Google. They are dependent on Google. Yes or no, people? So tomorrow, if Google increases the advertising price, can anyone question Google? No, because they have got nowhere else to go. But with Google only, people, yes or no, people, and that is called as people dominant position. So what do you mean by dominant position? An ability of an enterprise to do two things. Number one is operate independently irrespective of its competitors, and number two is ability to impact the competitors, ability to impact its customers in their favor, and that is called as people dominant position. Okay. Next, now what do you mean by abuse of dominant position? So when an enterprise who is holding a dominant position is using its powers to unfairly hurt its competitors, unfairly hurt its customers, it is called as abuse of dominant position. If you are holding a dominant position, that's completely fine. If you are abusing that position to unfairly hurt the competitors, to unfairly hurt the customers, it is an abuse of dominant position. Yes or no, people? Perfect. Now, what are the key aspects of dominant position? So now we are going to understand in what all ways a company which is into dominant position can abuse its position. We're going to understand how can a company abuse its dominant position. Let's understand. So people, there are 5 ways in which a company can abuse its dominant position. Number one is people, unfair or discriminatory practices in sale or purchase of goods and services. So people, I will give you an example. So people, Apple imposes a strict condition on its developers that whatever apps you're developing, if customers are paying you 100 rupees, you have to pay us back 30 rupees as commission, which is an exorbitant commission rate. Now the reason, people, because developers are dependent on Apple for their income, Apple is imposing a condition on the developers, and that is called as people unfair or discriminatory practices in sale or purchase of goods and services. Now because of that, people, developers have to increase the prices so that they can recover this money. Yes or no, people? And in the end, who are getting hurt? Customers are getting hurt. Very easy, people. So imposing unfair conditions in the sale or purchase of goods or services. Okay. Engaging in predatory pricing or other unfair pricing methods to harm competition. We're going to understand the concept of predatory pricing. It's basically to sell goods or services at a price lower than the cost of production, like Jio did when they launched free 4G services. The intent was to drive out the competitors from the market. That was the goal, and that is called as people predatory pricing. Very easy. Chalo. Now number 2 is people. So first way of abusing dominant position is unfair or discriminatory practices in sale or purchase of goods and services. Okay. Now number 2 is people limiting or restricting production or market access. So people, if cement companies are forming a cartel, so that small cement companies cannot enter the market, cannot do the business, and that is called people limiting or restricting production or market access. People, we have already understood, let's say example of steel company. In the steel manufacturing companies, if they decide among themselves that they are going to reduce the steel production by 20%, so that it will create an artificial price increase in the market, so that we can sell at this price, we will make huge amount of profit. That is called as people limiting or restricting production or market access. Yes or no, people? Now we're going to understand. Next is hindering technical or scientific development. Hindering means, what is the meaning of hindering, people? Causing an obstacle in technical or scientific development to the prejudice of customers. Okay. So people, so Honda, Volkswagen and Fiat, all the car companies, they have decided that they are not going to provide tools to the independent garages. What is the meaning of this, people? They have manufactured the car in such a way that it can only be repaired using a certain types of tools, which they are refusing to give it to the independent garage owners. Why people? They want the customers to visit only to them and not get their work done with the independent car garages. Yes or no, people? Now, what do you mean by this, people? That means you are causing an obstacle. You're causing an obstacle in technical or scientific development to the prejudice of customers. Yes or no, people? If you're not giving the tools, then how are the customers will be able to repair their cars, people? They have to come to you. Yes or no? Now, what if they don't want to come to you because you are charging high prices? They can choose some other person, but can they now go to some other person? No, because the tools are with these people. It is not with the independent car garages. Yes or no, people? Very easy. Now, next is people denying market access, refusing to deal with or denying access to market or essential facilities to competitors or potential entrants. Now, people, what is the meaning of this, people? Okay. So, people, we all have heard this country called as Taiwan. We all have heard this country called as China. So, Taiwan is known for semiconductors. Semiconductors are very, very important tool for any country which wants to have a superpower over technology. Yes or no, people? Now, the important point is Taiwan country, which is a small country in the world, it provides 60% of the semiconductors to the entire world. So Taiwan supplies 60% of the total semiconductors. Now, people, Taiwan does not want to supply semiconductor to China because they know that because they don't want China to become a super powerful country in technology. That means what? China's technological progress is in the hands of whom, people? Taiwan. Yes or no? If Taiwan gives them semiconductors, then only they will be able to develop themselves. Yes or no, people? That means what? You are denying market access to China. Taiwan is denying market access to China. And that is a simple meaning of this, people. Yes or no, people? Now, next. Making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations. So, what is the meaning of this, people? So, people, Hyundai told the car dealers that you have to buy only our engine oil, you have to follow our discount rules only, you have to buy extra stock from us. Even if you have enough stock, still you have to buy extra stock from us. What is the meaning of this, people? That means you are making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations. Yes or no, people? Okay. What is the meaning of this? Forcing unrelated or extraneous obligations in contract. They are not connected to the main objective of the transaction. You are unnecessarily making the contracts complicated. Yes or no, people? So number 4 is making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations. So now let's come to the last one. Using dominant position in one market to enter into another market. So people, this is a classic example I will tell you. So we all have heard this company called as Amazon. Amazon company is known for online retail business. Yes or no? It is again, obviously, a dominant player in the market. Now, people, Amazon wants to enter into cloud web services. Amazon wants to enter into cloud web services. Now, can they enter easily? Obviously, they have got enough money so that they can easily enter into cloud computing. Yes or no, people? Now, the problem is Amazon is providing cloud services at a very, very low price, so that it can drive out the existing competitors. Now, the important question is, how are they able to provide such huge discount? Because they already have so much amount of money from one market, and that is online retail market. From that money, they're using this money to give discount. Once the competitors are out, then they will charge exorbitant price from the customers, and that is called as, people, using dominant position in one market to enter into another market. Very easy, people. So 5 types of ways in which you can abuse your dominant position. Number 1 is unfair or discriminatory practices in sale of goods or services, sale or purchase of goods or services. Number 2 is limiting or restricting production like cement, steel manufacturing companies, or market access. Number 3 is you are denying the market access. Number 4 is you are making contracts complicated. And number 5 is you're using one dominant position to enter into another dominant position. Very, very easy, people. Extremely easy. I'm 100% sure that such type of questions will definitely be asked in your exam. Yes or no, people? Chalo. Now, what do you mean by predatory pricing? So, people have already told you what do you mean predatory pricing. Pricing happens when a company sets a price lower than its production cost. The purpose is to push the existing competitors out of the market, intending to raise prices once competitors are out of the market. The competitors are out of the market, you can charge any price you want. Yes or no? If there is a presence of competitor, can you increase the price as per your requirements? No. Otherwise, customers will go to your competitors. Yes or no, people? Perfect. And that is called as your predatory pricing. Okay. So people, until now, let's see what all topics we are done with. So we are done with agreement under Competition Act. We are done with types of anti-competitive agreements. Horizontal is done. Vertical is done. Dominant position is done. Abuse of dominant position is done. Predatory pricing is done. Now let's talk about combination. People, I hope you're finding this chapter super interesting because we are understanding this practically. Yes or no, people? Chalo. Now, what do you mean by combination and its regulation? So, people, combination means what? Combination means acquisition, acquiring Facebook, acquiring WhatsApp, merger, two companies forming one company, and amalgamation. What do you mean amalgamation? Two companies forming a one company, and old companies do not exist. That is called as amalgamation. But in merger, old companies, in merger, one company do not exist and one company only exists. In amalgamation, both the companies cease to exist, only one company exists. Again, I will tell you what is the difference between merger and amalgamation. In merger, one company survives, but in amalgamation, both the companies get dissolved in order to form a new company. That is the difference between a merger and an amalgamation. Okay. So what do you mean by combination? Combination means acquisition, merger, amalgamation of enterprises, causing a significant change in the ownership, control, or assets. Yes or no, people? Let's understand this, people. Very easy. So what do you mean by combination? So combination refers to acquisition, merger, amalgamation of enterprises where there is a significant change in ownership, control, or assets. Very easy, people. So what do you mean merger, people? Merger means when two companies join together to form a new entity where one company survives and another company dissolves. Yes or no? That is called as merger. But in amalgamation, both the companies dissolve and a new company is formed. But in acquisition, one company is acquiring another company. The acquirer can choose to make sure that the acquiree target company survives or does not survive. It is in the hands of the acquirer. Yes or no, people? The moment Myntra acquired Jabong, Jabong dissolved. But was it the same case in Facebook and Facebook WhatsApp? No. The moment Facebook acquired WhatsApp, both the companies are existing. So in the acquisition, it is at the option of the acquirer whether to keep the company or to dissolve the company. Very easy. Which company am I talking about? Target company. Okay. So classic example is if IDFC Bank merges with Capital First in 2018, the new company is called as IDFC First Bank. Okay, in amalgamation, Vodafone Idea formed to be a Vodafone Idea. And next is Facebook and WhatsApp is an acquisition. Very easy, people. So when one company takes control of another company through purchase of assets, shares, or other forms of control, it is called as an acquisition. The acquired company may continue to exist but under new ownership. Very easy, people. Chalo. Now, what are the types of acquisition? Let's understand now in practical way. Acquisition of enterprise occurs when a person or group acquires control over one or more enterprises. This may include acquiring businesses that are direct competitors. So people, Flipkart earlier used to sell a lot of things. Yes or no? Flipkart earlier used to sell a lot of things. Then they acquired Myntra. Yes or no, people? They acquired Myntra, and that is called as people acquisition of business. Facebook acquiring WhatsApp because they are in similar business. Facebook and WhatsApp are competitors. Facebook acquiring Instagram again is an acquisition because both are competing businesses. Very easy. Chalo. Now, what do you mean merger or amalgamation? Refers to merging of two or more businesses, combining their operations, assets, or financial structures to strengthen their position in the market, just like Vodafone Idea. The moment Jio launched free 4G services to drive out the competitors, Vodafone and Idea suffered huge losses. So they decided to form a company together so that they can compete with giant like Jio. Very easy, people. Now, the third part is very, very interesting. I will tell you. Refers to gaining control of an enterprise. Chalo, before that, I will tell you one example. So, people, Future Group owns two companies, Big Bazaar and Fashion at Big Bazaar. Yes or no, people? If Reliance acquires 20% stake in Future Group without acquiring Big Bazaar, without acquiring FVP, still it is able to control Big Bazaar and Fashion of Big Bazaar. How? By taking control, not acquirer, taking just significant control over the target company, and that is called as people acquisition of control. If tomorrow Reliance acquires 51% stake in Future Group, now are they able to now control the Future Group? The answer is yes. So can we say that people Reliance without acquiring Big Bazaar, without acquiring Fashion at Big Bazaar, still Reliance is able to control all of them just by acquiring a controlling stake in the holding company? Yes or no, people? Very easy, and that is called as people acquisition of control. So refers to gaining control of an enterprise, acquisition. People, now you have to visualize. Okay, people, whatever example I have told you, you have to visualize. Chalo bhai. So acquisition of control refers to gaining control, Reliance gaining control of Future Group that itself controls an enterprise like Fashion at Big Bazaar and Big Bazaar operating in a similar or competing business, and that is called as people acquisition of control. Very, very easy, people. Very easy. Chalo. Now, people, let's understand regulation of combination. Now that we have understood combination meaning, now let's understand what do you mean by regulation of combination. So tomorrow, if Reliance Jio acquires Vodafone Idea, it's a combination. Yes or no, people? If Reliance acquires Vodafone Idea, it's going to be a very, very dominant player. It can significantly use that dominant position in an unfair manner. Yes or no? So to prevent that from happening, they are subject to regulation. They are subject to rules and regulations by Competition Commission of India. Now let's understand. When will any company come under the purview of Competition Commission of India? Let's understand. So combination are subject to thresholds based on assets and turnover. We're going to understand this. If the combined assets or thresholds, if the combined assets or turnover exceed the limit, they will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. And Competition Commission of India will evaluate the combination. Are they going to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition? The answer is yes. CCI will do not approve the combination. Yes or no, people? If a combination is likely to reduce choices, it is strictly prohibited and void under law. Okay. Now let's understand, people, what is the thresholds? What is the threshold for assets? What is the threshold for turnover? Very, very easy. Let's come over here. So, if it's an enterprise level threshold, means what, people? If, let's say, two companies, Myntra, Flipkart acquiring Myntra. If Flipkart acquiring Myntra, now when are they subject to the Competition Act thresholds? Let's see, people. When Flipkart acquires Myntra, if the combined assets of Flipkart and Myntra exceeds 2,500 crores, one condition, or, it is not and, it is or. If Flipkart acquiring Myntra, the turnover of Flipkart plus the turnover of Myntra exceeds 7,500 crores. If any of the two conditions are hit, they are subject to Competition Commission of India. They have to get permission of Competition Commission of India before they enter into any type of combination. Very easy, people. So for enterprise level threshold, if both the companies are in India, okay, people, we are assuming now both the companies are in India. Okay, so combined assets of Flipkart, combined assets of Myntra, if it exceeds 2,500 crores, they have to come under purview of Competition Commission of India. The turnover is more than 7,500 crores, they will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. Very easy. Chalo. Next is, people, now let's talk about global thresholds. What is the meaning of global thresholds? Which means what? A company in a foreign and a company in India. Let's say Walmart is a foreign company, Flipkart is an Indian company. So if Walmart acquires Flipkart, then what are the thresholds? Earlier, both the companies are in India, so the threshold was less. Now, one company is in foreign and another company is in India, or vice versa. Let's see. So, if Walmart is acquiring Flipkart and the total assets global assets is more than $1.25 billion, if the global assets is more than 1.25 billion US dollars plus Indian assets is more than 1,250 crores, they will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. Again, so if Walmart is acquiring Flipkart and the global assets, total assets globally, if it is US dollars 1.25 billion dollars plus Indian assets, if we take only Indian assets into consideration, if it is more than 1,250 crores, it will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. Very easy. Now let's talk about turnover. This we talk about assets. Now let's talk about turnover. If the total global turnover is more than 3.75 billion US dollars, but Indian turnover is more than or equal to 3,750 crores, then people, it will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. So people, over here it is plus. Always remember this, people. Always remember, if you want to hit the global thresholds, total foreign assets should be at least 1.25 US billion dollars plus. It is plus, not or. In India, the assets should be more than at least 1,250 crores. Then only they will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. Then people, if we talk about the turnover, the global turnover should be at least US dollars 3.75 billion plus Indian turnover should be 3,750 crores turnover. Very, very easy, people. Very, very easy, people. Okay. Now let's talk about group level thresholds. Now these were all individual companies. Flipkart is an individual company. Walmart is an individual company. Myntra is an individual company. Now let's see, if we talk about a group like Reliance Group, Adani Group, Facebook Group, let's understand then what will be the thresholds. So people, if Adani and Reliance both are Indian companies, both groups are Indian groups, for that what will be the thresholds? Assets should be at least 10,000 crores combined assets and turnover should be at least 30,000 crores. It is or. Okay, people. So assets should be at least 10,000 crores or turnover should be at least 30,000 crores. Then only that group will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. Okay. Now let's talk about global group. Let's say Adani and Facebook Group is getting acquired. Let's see, people. So worldwide assets should be at least US dollars 6 billion dollars, US dollars 6 billion dollars plus at least 750 crores should be in India. Very, very important. If it is in case of assets. Now if it is in case of turnover, it is US dollars 18 billion dollars and Indian turnover should be at least 750 crores. If any of the thresholds are hit, people, you will definitely come under the purview of Competition Commission of India. You will have to take their approval. Very, very easy, people. Extremely easy. Chalo. Now, people, which companies are exempt? Which companies are exempt even from informing the Competition Commission of India? Number one is, people, if small company is a target company, if it's a target company, assets are less than 450 crores. The assets are less than 450 crores or turnover is less than 1250 crores. If it's target company is a small company, then you are exempt from even notifying Competition Commission of India. Very easy, people. Extremely easy. Okay. Now, people, now this is again very, very important concept. Even if you have not touched the financial thresholds, even if you have not touched the financial thresholds, still you will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India under review. When will that happen? If the deal value was at least 2000 crores and the target company has got substantial operations in India, then only you will come under the purview of Competition Commission of India, even though you have not hit any financial thresholds. Very easy, people. So, even if you have not touched any financial threshold, still you will come under the purview of review by CCI. When will that happen? If the deal value is more than 2000 crores plus, not or, plus the target company has substantial operations in India, then they will be coming under purview of Competition Commission of India, even though they have not touched any financial thresholds, people. People, until now, no question has been asked with respect to threshold, but I think this time definitely question will be asked from the threshold because a lot of amendments have taken place. Yes or no, people? Perfect. Chalo. This is an example, people. See, if Reliance Jio buys a tech platform for 3000 crores whose revenue are low but user base is huge, this must be notified. The reason is it is more than 2000 crores. Very easy, people. Chalo. Now what? Filing requirement. Parties must notify CCI before they act on the transaction. Yes or no? Okay. Review timeline. Once you have filed with the CCI that we want to acquire, we want to merge, CCI must inform its opinion within how many days? 150 days. Earlier it was 210 days. It has been reduced to 150 days. If CCI does not pass any order within 150 days, it is deemed to be approved. Oh, yes, people, very easy. Let's say Tata Steel merges with a mid-size metal company and CCI does not respond within 150 days, the deal is automatically approved. Very easy, people. So timeline for approval is 150 days. If you don't receive an approval, it is deemed to be approved. Very easy, people. Chalo. Next is, when will CCI blocks or modifies a combination? When will CCI blocks or modifies a combination? People, we already know if the combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, the CCI will consider 4 factors. What is the market share? Let's say CCI wants to check if Google is abusing its dominant position or not. The first question CCI will ask is, how much market share Google is holding? It is 90% in the search engine market. Number 2, is Google causing any barriers to entry? Yes. If Google enters into an agreement with all the phone manufacturers that you will have to pre-install our apps on your phone so that customers will not even think of installing any other company's app, that is called as you are causing hindrance for new competitors to enter the market. Number 3 is you are eliminating the competitors. And number 4 is vertical foreclosure. Simply by entering into an anti-competitive agreements, you are causing appreciable adversity to competition to drive out the competitors then CCI will take all the factors into consideration. Then only CCI will pass. CCI will modify or prohibit any combination. Let's see another example. If Swiggy tries to buy the only rival in a small state causing 90% market share, CCI may impose conditions or block the deal. Supposing if Jio in Pune, it has got total number of towers in Pune are 100 towers. If Jio controls 90% tower and 10% towers are controlled by Vodafone Idea. If Jio purchases the 10 towers of Vodafone Idea, it is called as an appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Very easy, people. Extremely easy. Sure. Now, people, now that we have understood while we were studying the concept of group in the thresholds, Adani group, Facebook group, first of all, let's understand what do you mean by group. A group includes entities under common control, directly or indirectly. So, people, over here, Jio will come under a common group of Reliance, Jio, and Future Group. If it is controlled by Reliance, it will also again come under the purview of group. Yes or no, people? So group means all the companies under a common control, whether directly or indirectly. Even though I am not holding shares, still these people are accustomed to act as per my instruction. It is called as an indirect way of control. Okay. Entities may include companies, firms, individuals influencing management policies or decisions. Okay. So entities may include companies like Jio and all the companies of Jio, firms, all the companies owned by Jio. Next is individuals, Nita Ambani, Anil Ambani, Akash Ambani, Mukesh Ambani. Everyone will be called as a control. Everyone will be called as a person who are considered as part of a group. Okay. Control ensures that combination within a group are regulated under the act. So everyone will come under the purview of combination. Yes or no, people? Chalo now. Now that people, when we understood the total assets in the thresholds, now what do you mean by assets? What all things will come under the assets? Let's understand. So assets are determined based on book value. So people, over here, we understood assets are 10,000 crores, assets are 2,500 crores, assets are $1.25 billion. So what all things will include in the assets and how is the value arrived? So asset value is determined based on the accounting records, based on the book value and not market value from the audited accounts of previous financial year. Depreciation must be accounted for, and assets also include intangible assets, brand value, goodwill, IP like patents, copyrights, trademark, designs and other commercial rights. Very easy, people. So people, when Motorola company was acquired, a major part of the assets was intangible assets. Yes or no, people? So does it make sense to exclude intangible assets from the total asset value? No. Yes or no, people? Perfect. Now people, let's understand regulation of combination. Okay. So number one, prohibition of harmful combination. The combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. CCI will prohibit it and make it void. Okay. Now, if the combination is crossing a threshold, they have to notify the competition within how many days of board approval of acquiring a company. If Facebook has passed a board resolution to acquire WhatsApp, and if it is crossing the thresholds, Facebook has to inform to Competition Commission of India within 30 days of the board meeting. Very easy. Next is timeline for approval. So we all know, people, CCI will give an approval whether to proceed or not within how many days? 150 days. If CCI does not say anything, it is deemed to be approved. So now, people, this is a very, very important rule. Acquisition by public financial institution, banks, venture capital funds are exempt from prior approval, but must be reported within 7 days. So they are not required to obtain a prior approval, but they have to inform that yes, we are entering into a combination. Why, people? Can you tell me? Because some banks act as a temporary investors to secure loans or promote growth, not to control businesses. Their goal is not to control the business. Their goal is only to be a part of the company so that this company is taking all the right decisions. Yes or no, people? Perfect. So we are done with the regulation of combination. Now, how many topics are there, people? 14, 15. Yes. Two more topics and then we are done with the biggest subchapter of competition laws, people. People, once you are done with these two subchapters, people, no one, trust me, no one can stop you from getting exemption. Yes or no, people? Every single subchapter, if you are watching it, if you are learning using mind maps for whichever chapters I have provided, that's it, people. That's it. You don't have to study anything apart from that. Right, people? If you have come to me, I'm going to make sure that you are given with every single thing. You are given with crisp study notes. You are given with beautiful explanations, logic, meaning, along with mind maps. You are given with the expected question that you have to be prepared with, along with the solutions. You are also be informed as to how to write answer in the exams, along with what type of question will be asked in the exam. Every single thing will be provided to you. Right, people? My goal is I want you people to score an exemption in the corporate and economic laws. More than exemption, I want you guys to score 80, 90 plus in corporate and economic laws. Right, people? Chalo. So two more small topics are remaining, and then we are done with the one sub chapter, people. Okay, people? Chalo. Procedure for investigation. So, people, if there is a combination where CCI is doubtful that no, this type of combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, irrespective of if they have hit the thresholds or not, we have to check them. How are they going to do it? Let's understand. CCI may initiate an investigation if a combination can cause AAEC, which means what? Appreciable adverse effect on the competition. So CCI first give a show cause notice as to we are going to give you a notice and you have to explain us why do you think your combination is not likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, and you have to explain within how many days, 30 days of serving a notice, the companies which are entering into combination, you have to explain to the CCI. Okay. Number 3, if required, CCI can request a detailed report on this combination from the Director General. He will inquire, he will investigate the combination. And next is, people, CCI will ask the parties to publish all the details of the combination within how many days? 10 working days. Within 10 working days, CCI may ask the parties to publish their combination so that anyone who is getting affected, they can reach CCI effortlessly. Okay. And next is, people, all the interested person within 15 days of publication of the combination in the newspapers, they have got 15 days to raise objections. CCI may seek additional further information that to be provided by the parties within how many days of request? 15 days of request. And last is, after review, CCI may decide within how many days? 45 days whether to approve, block the combination or modify the combination or not. So number 1 is CCI will have an opinion. Yes or no, people? If it is causing appreciable adverse effect on the combination, CCI will ask the parties to explain why do you think that your combination is not likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. And these parties have to report to us within how many days? Within 30 days. CCI may also take the help of Director General to further investigate. Okay. Now CCI can ask the parties to publish the details of the combination within 10 days of the order. Now whoever has any objection, whoever's rights are getting violated, they have to raise their objection within how many days? 15 days. And if CCI wants further information, they can ask the party that has to be submitted to the CCI how many days? 15 days. And last is final decision. CCI will give the final decision whether to block, approve or modify within how many days? 45 days. Very easy, people. Definitely such type of question will be asked in your exam. It is completely logical question. Right, people? Chalo. Last topic. Now, what types of orders can be passed by commission on certain type of combination? Very easy, people. Either they will approve, either they will block, or they will modify. Now, people, parties have to modify the order. If they do not modify the order, it will result in appreciable adverse effect on the competition. It was going to be completely void. So they have to follow the modification. If parties are willing to propose some additional amendments or modification to find a middle ground, not to be like extreme like CCI or their party's own conditions, so they can propose some amendments or modification. CCI may approve or cancel it. Parties can propose amendments within 30 days if they disagree with the CCI's modification. So if CCI agrees with the amendment, the combination, if approved, is approved. If it is rejected, these parties have to follow the original modification of CCI within how many days? 30 days. So if they fail to accept modification, it is deemed to be harmful. Yes or no, people? And blocked combination must not proceed. We all know. Next is, if CCI does not decide within 15 days of the modification proposed by the parties, 150 days, the merger is automatically approved. What is the meaning of this? So CCI has proposed modification. I have given some additional amendments or modification. CCI is silent for 150 days. Then, people, it is deemed to be approved. So if a combination declared as void, it is treated as if this type of combination has never been approved. Very, very easy, people. You will face doubt in this concept, people. Okay. Non-implementation of blocked modification. Very, very important. Cool, people. So we are done with the subchapter of Competition Act 2002. Beautiful subchapter. So people, these are the expected questions that is going to come in your exam. Explain the concept of dominant position and abuse of dominant position under a Competition Act. You have to answer this. I've also given you examples. Next type of question can come, people. Explain horizontal and vertical anti-competitive agreements with example. Question can be asked. Next is, explain the thresholds for competition. Explain threshold for combination under the Competition Act 2002. Very, very simple, people. Very, very simple. People, let's take a break of 5 minutes and then let's resume with our next sub chapter. Very, very short. It's going to be done in 15 to 20 minutes max. And then we'll be solving past year's questions. Then we are done with the competition laws. Yes or no, people? Chalo. Hello. All right, people. So the next 15 to 20 minutes will be done with our second sub chapter also, people. Okay, people. Chalo bhai. Let's get started. Next, people. Next. So there are 6 topics that we are going to study. Okay. What are the first? Let's understand the name of the sub chapter. The name of sub chapter is Competition Commission of India. Competition Commission of India. Chalo. Now, what are topics that we are going to cover in this sub chapter? Number one, people are going to understand is what are the duties and powers of the Competition Commission of India. He has the power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. What all factors that is going to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive nature or not. Next is what are factors that is going to take into consideration if a person is abusing his dominant position or not. Next is how is the relevant market determined to see if this combination is going to cause appreciable adverse effect or not. Beautiful concept. Then people are going to understand what are the orders by the Competition Commission of India after inquiry. Then people, the very, very important concept, that is division of dominant enterprises. Next people, we're going to understand what are the penalties in relation to furnishing false information. Very, very important. In last two attempts, this question was asked 2 times. Next people, what is the liability of officers for contravention? And last is how are the orders executed of appellate tribunal. Very, very easy. You're going to have super huge fun in this sub chapter, people. Okay, people. Chalo, let's get started. So, people, what are the duties and powers of the commission? So, the Competition Commission of India is responsible for ensuring fair competition in the market. Obviously, because of that only, it is in purpose. Then people, protection of consumer interest and freedom of trade for businesses. It prevents monopolies, unfair business practices, and anti-competitive agreements. So basically, Competition Commission of India is going to ensure that the competition is fair in a country. Yes or no, people? Very, very simple. Chalo. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 topics that we're going to understand now under duties and powers of commission. Number 1 is people. Number 1 is power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. So CCI has a power to initiate an inquiry whether on its own. CCI, if it thinks that no, I have heard about this combination might cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, so I'm going to suo motu, I'm going to myself going to inquire. Number 1 is that. Number 2 is CCI on receiving information from 3 category of people. Number 1 is a consumer or a trade association can file a complaint. Number 2 is a government authority with a central government or state government. And number 3 is statutory authority, whether SEBI, RBI, etc. So a Competition Commission of India can inquire into anti-competitive practices either on its own or by an application by 3 categories of people. Number 1 is a consumer or a trade association, and number 2 is a government authority, whether a central government or a state government, and number 3 is a statutory authority. That includes SEBI, RBI, etc. Very, very easy. Chalo. Now that complaint has been given to CCI, or the CCI thinks that certain types of combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Now what? Now how is the CCI going to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? So people, when analyzing whether an agreement harms a competition, the CCI considers the following factors. So 2 factors. What are the negative effects on the competition? What are the positive effect of the competition? So number 1 is people, is it creating barriers for new businesses? Is it creating barriers for new businesses? I will give you an example, people. There was a real estate company called as DLF, that controlled large lands, because of which small builders were not able to construct their land. Is it a positive thing or is it a negative thing, people? It's a negative thing. Yes or no, people? Next is, first of all, are you creating barriers in the competition? Number one, are you driving out the existing competitors out of the market or not, people? For example, if Coca-Cola and Pepsi gives heavy discount to the customers, don't you think the local manufacturers, local soft drink companies are going to suffer a huge loss? And that is called as driving out existing competitors. Next is, people, are you blocking the market entry? Are you blocking the market entry? Example is, I will tell you, I have already given you the example. If Google enters into an agreement with the mobile phone manufacturers, if Google enters into an agreement with the existing mobile manufacturers, saying that whenever you manufacture a phone, you have to already install our apps, Google apps, you already have to install, and then only you have to give it to the customer. Then people tell me, if already all the apps are there in your phone, are you going to think about installing any other new app? Not likely. You will, but not likely. That means what? You are blocking the market entry for the new competitors. Yes or no, people? Perfect. So these are the negative effects of the competition which CCI is likely to overview. And next, people, what are the positive effects? Number one is it creating benefit to the customer? Now, even though Jio has launched free 4G services, but people, the impact of free 4G services, I have already told in the corporate governance CSR, where Jio has provided education, free education. Those people who couldn't even think about education in remote areas, because of free internet, they were not only able to get education, but they were also able to generate employment. Yes or no, people? So that is a positive impact of the competition. Next is improvement in production or distribution. So people, over here, what is the example? Yes, there are two examples. Is it encouraging innovation or is it causing an improvement in the production or distribution? Classic example is, people, Uber and Ola. Both are very, very tough competitors. Now both want to get market share. Because of that, they're able to provide a lot of additional services. They're going out of the way to make sure customers' experience are improved. Now, because of this, people, because of this, they brought in a lot of facilities like live driver tracking, SOS button, and then safety features. Why was Uber, Ola able to bring out these features? Because they know that if we don't bring out these features, our competitor will now take away a lot of market share. So this is a positive impact on the competition which CCI will look into. Okay. Number 3 is, people, what are the factors to determine the abuse of dominant position? Okay. This was anti-competitive agreement. Now this is abuse of dominant position. Let's take an example of Google. So Google, if CCI wants to penalize Google for abuse of dominant position, it will look at 4 things. How much market share Google owns? 90% in the search engine market. Number 2, how much finance Google has? Obviously, it has got more finance than all the search engine combined. Yes or no, people? And third is, what is the strength of the competitor? What is the strength of the competitor? Does Google has the power to impact its customers and competitors? The answer is yes. Does Google has the power to operate independently, irrespective of who are its competitors are, what are they doing? The answer is yes. And last is the consumer dependence. So we all are dependent on Google. Yes or no, people? So 4 factors CCI will look into before they call it as abuse of dominant position. Number 1 is market share. Number 2 is financial resources. Number 3 is competitor strength, and number 4 is consumer dependence. Very easy. Now, people, if you are saying that this combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, it is not allowing new competitors to enter the market. Now, what do you mean by market? First of all, let's understand. So before you call it a market, Yes, people. So before you call any term market, to say if the combination is likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition or not, first you have to determine the market on which these competitors are operating, yes or no. So there are two types of market: product market and geographical market. Product market, three things are there. Number one is physical characteristics and end use. Now you tell me, people, is white cement and gray cement end use the same? Do you think the companies which are selling white cement, the companies which are selling gray cement, are they competitors? Not exactly. Both the cement has got different end uses. Yes or no? Next is price range. A luxury perfume and a perfume of 50 rupees, 60 rupees, both has got a different market. Yes or no? And number three is consumer preference. iPhone market is different, Android market is different. Very easy, people. This is called as product market. This is next is, people, geographical market. Very, very interesting. So there are two types of geographical market: regional and national demand, and transport cost. Okay. Now, people, you tell me, are cement owners, okay, people, let's say, are builders of Tamil Nadu ever going to what do we say, order cement from Rajasthan? The answer is no. Tamil Nadu builders will never order cement from Rajasthan. Tamil Nadu builders will never order cement from Rajasthan, nor Rajasthan builders will ever order cement from Tamil Nadu. Can you tell me why? The reason is transportation cost is very huge, because of which the price will eventually increase, and the price will increase, people, nobody will buy from us. So Tamil Nadu cement companies, Rajasthan cement companies are totally different because of one thing, and that is transportation cost. Always remember this. So regional and national demand is completely different. And next is, people, transportation cost. What is the meaning of this? Do you think Chennai tomato sellers and Tamil Nadu tomato sellers, are they competitors? No, people. The reason is the moment Chennai tomato sellers transport tomatoes to Delhi, the tomatoes will get destroyed, people. The tomato will get bad. Yes or no, people? So at any point of time, do you think tomato owners of Rajasthan, tomato owners of any other state, are they competitors? No. And that is called, people, geographical market. Regional and national demand, and next is transportation cost. Yes or no, people? So whenever CCI is going to find out the relevant market, it will ask two questions: what is the product market? What is the geographical market? To find out the product market, it will look at three things: physical characteristics of the product and end use. Number two is price range, and number three is consumer preference. To find out what is the geographical market of the product, it will look at two things: what is the regional or national demand, and what is the transportation cost. Very easy, people. That's it. Now let's look at what are the orders. That are passed by CCI after they have inquired into the affairs. Yes or no, people? Let's see. They can either stop anti-competitive practices immediately and ask them to never enter into such anti-competitive agreement in future. So number one is, they will ask the companies to stop the anti-competitive agreement and ask them to never enter into such anti-competitive agreement in future. Yes or no? Next is, they will also impose a monetary penalty. Penalty can be up to 3 times the profit earned per year, or 10% of the turnover per year, whichever is higher. Yes or no? Irrespective of if you have enjoyed the benefit or not, if you have entered into an anti-competitive agreement, you will be penalized by CCI. What will be the penalty maximum, people? Up to 3 times the profit made, or 10% of the company's turnover, whichever is higher. Okay. So CCI may also ask to modify the agreement to eliminate anti-competitive effects. Okay. Next is directing the companies to follow other orders or other directions. Example is company may be ordered to pay the investigation cost or any other directions. So 5 types of orders. Number 1 is to stop the anti-competitive agreement immediately and to ask them to never enter into such agreement in future. Number 2 is impose a monetary penalty up to 3 times the profit made or 10% of turnover, whichever is higher. Next is number 3 is you will modify the agreement. Number 4 is you will direct the companies to follow other orders or other directions. Very, very easy, people. These are types of the order a CCI can pass. Okay. Next is they will also order a penalty against the entire business group. Entire business group. Now I know, people, you know what is the meaning of a group. Group means all the entities in this common control. Ownership is called as group. Yes or no, people? Very, very easy. Chalo. Now, people, this concept is extremely important. Definitely in exam question will be asked. Okay, people? Division of enterprise. The moment CCI has found out that anti-competitive agreement, if it is done, the moment CCI has found out a company like Google, a company like Reliance is abusing its dominant position, what all types of orders can be passed by CCI to divide the enterprise? Let's understand. The CCI finds that company is abusing its dominant position, it can split the company into smaller independent units. Okay. Now we're going to understand this in detail. How does CCI divide an enterprise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1 is, people, transfer of property. So the moment CCI has got to know that in Chennai, in Pune, or in Hyderabad, in any city, Reliance is controlling all the towers. It is not allowing Vodafone Idea to enter the location. So CCI will ask them to sell some of its towers to its competitors. That is called as transfer of property. Very easy. Number 2 is, people, number 2 is, if I've given you an example, if 5 to 6 steel manufacturing companies have decided among themselves to reduce the supply of steel so that we can create an artificial increase so that we can sell at a higher price, the moment CCI has found out, okay, CCI will first, it will ask, are these 5 companies owned by a single person? So is there only one person who is controlling all the 5 companies? If the answer is yes, CCI will ask the person to sell his shares so that he can stop controlling these companies. Very easy. So CCI can cancel or modify stock ownership to reduce dominance. Next is CCI will ask to form new companies. Let's say Google is into the business of 2 business. Number 1 is search engine and advertising, and number 2 is search engine and number 2 is advertising business. So Google is into 2 business. Number 1 is search engine, number 2 is advertising. CCI will ask the Google to split into 2 different companies. One will take care of search engine, other will take care of advertising, because if you 2 will combine, you are causing AAEC in the competition. Yes or no, people? Next is winding up. CCI will ask the company to shut down. Next is amendment of corporate structure. CCI will ask the company to change its memorandum or articles of association. I will give you 2 examples. Number 1 is Google. If CCI asks Google to split up, one company should take entire care of social search engine and other company will take care entirely of advertising. So they have to change their MOA, AOA. Yes or no, people? Or if CCI has found out that Instagram company is only favoring those who have given them a lot of money and they have ignored the businessmen who have paid little amount to advertise themselves. These people have also paid them. Yes or no? So does it make sense to completely ignore them? No. If CCI finds this out, CCI will ask Instagram to change your algorithm. Change your algorithm. That is called as amendment of corporate structure. They can change the algorithm in their MOA also. Right, people? So 5 ways in which CCI can divide an enterprise. Number 1 is transfer of property. Number 2 is cancellation of shares. Number 3 is winding up. Number 4 is splitting of companies. Number 5 is amendment of corporate structure. Very, very easy, people. Chalo. Next is, people, penalty for offenses in relation to furnishing of information. Very, very important. Question was asked in your previous attempt. So, people, if you have provided false information to CCI, what is the consequence? Let's understand. When is a person penalized? And what is the penalty? When will you be eligible to get a lesser penalty? When will lesser penalty not be allowed? And what could be the additional liability? Number 1 is, if you are providing false information or documents, they can be penalized. So this is when you can be penalized. Number 2 is, if you are hiding or omitting important information to a CCI, you will be penalized. Number 3 is, you are altering, you are destroying, you are suppressing documents, you will be penalized. Now, people, penalty is 1 crore rupees determined by CCI based on the severity of the violation. If the violation is very, very severe, you will be penalized 1 CR. Now, when will you are eligible to get a lesser penalty? If you voluntarily provide full information and true disclosure without CCI asking you, then that's allowed. CCI will give you a lesser penalty. And if you cooperate during the investigation of CCI, you will be given lesser penalty. Now, people, this lesser penalty will not be applicable if you have been penalized once and again you have did the same offense. CCI will not leave you this time. Lesser penalty is not granted if the first, let's read the second part. Lesser penalty is not allowed if the company stops cooperating after disclosure. What is the meaning of this, people? First, people, 1 second. This point, I'm talking about this point. Even with a reduced penalty, a company may still face full penalties for future if violations have been re-entered. Violations have been reoccurred. Now, people, let's understand, when will lesser penalty be allowed? If the investigation report has already been done and then you are giving true and fair disclosure, does it make sense? Are you of any use to CCI, people? No, because investigation is already done. Now, what is the use of you coming to us? Yes, people. Next is, the company stops cooperating after disclosure, then, people, lesser penalty will not be allowed. Very, very easy, people. So this question was asked in the exam 2 times. So very, very important question, people. Okay, chalo. Next is 1, 2, and then we are done. Liabilities of the companies and their officers for contravention of competition law. That means what? CC has given you the order and you have contravened those provisions also. Now let's see what will happen. Who is held responsible if the company violates the law? Number 1 is company itself, all the important officers in charge, directors, MD, KMP, anyone responsible for the company's main operation will be held responsible. Can an individual escape the liability? They were unaware, they took all the reasonable steps to prevent it, then you will be held not guilty. So, people, whatever was in your control, if you have tried to stop that offense, then CCI will not penalize you. Next is, when our directors, managers and other officers are held guilty, if it is proven that every single thing happened with your consent, that means you are gone. Number 2 is, if you knew about it and you did nothing about it, then you are gone. Next is, if you acted negligently, every single thing was happening before you, still you did not pay any attention, then also you are gone. So 3 things should be there. Number 1 is consent, number 2 is connivance, and number 3 is neglect. You are gone. Yes or no, people? Chalo. So liabilities of companies and their officers for contravention of competition law. If you ask me, people, this question will definitely come in an exam this time. Okay? Chalo. Next is, people, enforcing of orders of appellate tribunal. What is the meaning of this? If NCLAT has passed an order, it has the authority to enforce its own orders under Competition Act. Yes or no, people? So Competition Commission of India appeal will go to NCLAT. Then it will go to Supreme Court. Yes or no, people? Now, people, NCLAT has the power to enforce its orders. Very, very easy topic. NCLAT's orders are enforceable like a civil court decree. People, civil court decree will be enforced by police officers if you fail to follow civil court decree. They are legally binding, similar to a court judgment. How are the orders enforced? Like a civil court decree. Next is, if you are unable to execute the order is sent to the civil court in the location of the individual or the company. Against a company, the order is sent to the court where the company's RO is located. If it is against the individual, where the individual resides or works, over there, civil court, NCLAT will send the order to enforce it. Civil court's role in enforcing. It is like a court decree and enforce it like any other judgment. So people, we are done with Competition Commission of India also. Now I will tell you what type of questions were asked in your exam. I am 100% sure that you are going to solve all the questions. Number 1 question. Enumerate the penalty for offences in relation to furnishing of information under the Competition Act. All the false information offences, the entire point you have to write. That's it. 7 marks question. Easy marks. See people, 7 marks. Next. Discuss about the powers of Competition Commission of India to order division of enterprise. Remember people, transfer of property, changing the corporate structure, splitting of the companies. See, 4 marks. See people, where application for merger submitted to CCI deemed approval may be presumed. If there is no approval received within 180 days, 90 days, now it is 150 days, people. Always remember this. It has been changed from 210 days, it is 150 days. This is which attend paper? This is June 24 attend paper. In 24 only this amendment was proposed. Okay. So 5 marks question was asked in June 24. Chalo. Let's look at the next question. What is understood by abuse of dominant position under provisions of Competition Act 2002? Very, very simple, people. See people, threshold is asked over here. There are new threshold applicable. You don't have to refer to this one, okay? As per the threshold I have given you have to write that thresholds. That's it. Next question. See, discuss about the penalty imposable under section 45 of the Indian Competition Act 2002 for offence in relation of furnishing false information. 7 marks question has been asked. See people, 7 marks. That's it people. So we are done with the competition laws also. Just read my notes. It is very crisp. Okay. If you have got any doubt with a simple intelligent, just make sure to drop all your doubts in the comment section. Okay, people? I'm going to make sure that I'm going to resolve all your doubts as soon as possible in the best way. Okay, people? So, eat well, sleep well, study well. We will end the session over here, people. Thank you so much for watching. You have been an amazing audience. Okay? I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Take care.